Game Over Vancouver is broadcasting from the Game Over Network channel for the playoffs, but starting in October, the network launches for real, which means for all of your Vancouver Canucks content, you want to go check out the Game Over Vancouver channel. You can subscribe right now by opening up the Game Over Network channel from this video in a new tab. Scroll down past my ugly mug, click on the Game Over Vancouver YouTube page, then click subscribe and click that reminder bell as well so you don't miss when we post a video or go live. Tell all your Canucks fans, friends, and family to come join our awesome community. You really won't regret it. And for this video, make sure you smash that like button right into oblivion.
All right, hello everybody. Sorry for a bit of a late start. Just technical difficulties, and hey, if the Canucks can't start on time, we don't have to either. I'm Kaja Mae. I'm here with Sam Chang and Avry Lewis-McDougall, and we are today recapping Game 1 of the Round 2 series between the Vancouver Canucks and the Edmonton Oilers. Um, first, this is the first kind of reintroduction for both of you, I believe, on the network's restart. So Sam, would you like to introduce yourself if people are new?
I'm Sam. You can find me on Twitter at SamanthaCP_.
All right. And Avry who's usually of Game Over Edmonton. So didn't have the greatest night, huh?
That was a night in which, you want to make a statement by getting a win in a visiting building and you blow a 4-1 lead and get 0 shots in about 14 hours. Not good.
That was a time. So a 4-1 lead, I almost made some jokes with some friends of mine. Like, haha, it was 4-1. You never know what could happen. And then it happened. Yeah, so we're gonna get into running the game through. It started off strong with the Canucks getting a bench minor for too many men. Thank you, Ian Cole, for that.
It was
Um,
like 10 minutes after I had tweeted
yeah,
that
yeah.
they
The moment
used
I
to have
saw that,
troubles.
the moment I saw that, because let me find this tweet. Let me find this tweet. Um, I
That was my bad. I should have known better.
yes. Where was the okay. So Sam tweets at 6:26 p.m. So about roughly an hour before the game starts, reassuring that Rick Tocchet did the mental math of 32 minus 8 equals 24 with ease on the pregame show. With an asterisk, in reply, there was a long while where the Canucks really struggled with too many men on the ice.
It was funny when I tweeted it. It was less funny when it happened.
Okay, I'll take
I
that.
mean, I feel like this season, and like without having done any of the math and having looked at it all, I feel like they didn't have as much of a too many men issue as they have had in previous seasons. And that was the thought that popped into my head. He was like on the pregame show saying, like, oh, there's 8 teams left. And if my math is right, that means 24 other teams aren't playing. And I was like, this man's just doing basic math on the radio. And it was like a nothing tweet. But
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny because like the only instances that are memorable of the Canucks getting too many men penalties was when they took like at least at multiple in a single game.
yeah.
Um, we're so close to zone time. Yes, I'm invading. Um, but yeah, so that penalty turns into Zach Hyman's 1-0 goal. The Oilers are 10 for 21 on the power play, which makes me a little sick to think about. Because that's very good for those of you who are not as good at math as Rick Tocchet is, um, allegedly. That's oh, I'm not good at math. That's almost 50%. That's I mean, the Canucks are the PDO machine that they were this season, but sustainability, somehow, if we're talking in terms of sustainability, somehow the Oilers are like David Suzuki in this. Because how do you keep producing in the power play? Zach Hyman, yeah, Cole not covering anyone. Ian Cole was on the ice for the first 4 goals of the game. And
He's
that
not good. He was not having a good time.
he was not having a good time. Yeah, so he's the reason that the too many men penalty was called. Then he also like had a 2-on-1 kind of during that penalty kill. Didn't end up working anyway because, you know, Ian Cole, if you're going to be offensive, just don't. You are not getting paid to do that because, yeah, he does not cover anyone. Hyman is just left alone. I feel like that's going to become the next, like, Ovechkin in his office meme, is Zach Hyman just completely alone on the power play, at least for this season. Yeah, and then Matthias Ekholm, again, Ian Cole doing absolutely nothing, but Matthias Ekholm is pretty good for the Oilers, I will say. Avry, can you speak more on that?
Yeah, Ekholm has been one of the more stabilizing presences on the back end for Edmonton. When he plays with Evan Bouchard, he's allowed Bouch to work on his game. And talking about Matthias and Evan, they both speak highly of each other and what they both bring. Ekholm has been more responsible for the defensive side of the game, but offensively, he has got a career high in goals this year, and he's got a sneaky big slap shot, which we saw tonight. His shot is sneaky good. We saw it get through traffic, and they're rolling when he scored that goal, Kaja.
They were, yeah, the Canucks were barely getting chances. They were just trying to push at the end of the first, but yeah, Matthias Ekholm, he was a great fantasy pickup this year. That's advice for next year. I mean, I ended up in like middle of the pack for the Game Over fantasy, I think, anyway, so. Yeah, Canucks are trying to push at the end of the first. Then at the beginning of the second, Dakota Joshua makes it 2-1, goes hard to the net. Ian Cole got an assist on that, so he's trying to redeem himself. Yeah, Dakota Joshua picks it up over Skinner's leg. Dakota Joshua is like gunning for the Conn Smythe at this point. It's between him and Nikita Zadorov.
It's Nikita Zadorov.
Yeah, I know.
It's not a contest.
It's not a contest. I just, you know, he was the unsung hero. He got the unsung hero award for like the fan awards with the Canucks, and yeah, he continued that into the postseason because I'm pretty sure he has more goals in the postseason now than Pettersson, correct?
I believe so.
Because he had 2 in game 1. So I think. But yeah, Skinner got the funniest penalty I think I've ever seen called in the playoffs, because I didn't actually register that was a penalty still. For those of you who weren't able to watch, Stuart Skinner was trying to touch the puck behind the net. Then he touched the puck a little too far. The puck went over the line of the trapezoid. And therefore the Canucks have a power play, and of course they do nothing. So let's move on. Cody Ceci, he scored off of Ian Cole, so there's that. And then Zach Hyman again, he scores again, 4-1. First goal of the game that Ian Cole wasn't on the ice for. Myers was trying to block the pass. That doesn't happen. Doesn't really get enough on Hyman there, and Susie is just kind of watching, but like he was, I'm pretty sure would have been made worse anyway. In this span of time as well, though, Leon Draisaitl is missing. Like he is gone. He came back for the third, doesn't look 100%, and I understand it's the playoffs, the players are injured, but for Leon Draisaitl to miss most of the second period, pretty much, something's going on there.
It looks like he said it was his back.
Is his back? Okay.
Yeah, not sure. I'm not sure if Oilers post game. I'm not sure if there's been any updates post game regarding that, but yeah, Sam's right. It did look like he said his back, so I'm sure we'll get additional news from Chris Knobloch on that. But if it's anything significant, Boy, that's tough.
That's hurting more than the Canucks hurt with Demko out now. Well, I mean, they won a series, but sometimes it's not pretty. But yeah, if Draisaitl's out for the playoffs, I mean, like he played through. It was a fractured ankle, right? In 22.
It was from what we know officially, it was a sprained ankle officially, but there were suggestions it might have been worse than that. But officially, it was a very bad sprained ankle.
It's like how Bo Horvat broke his foot and no one knew until postseason, like locker clean out. We showed up in a boot and they're like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, so back issue. I mean, yeah, hopefully he's okay for the Oilers' sake, for the Canucks' sake. Still, hopefully he's okay. You don't want to see a guy get injured. That sucks. Again, Brown gets called for holding. The Canucks power play does absolutely nothing. I think on the broadcast they said they're 0 for 9 at that point in home playoff games, which is not what you want to do to win games, especially, you know, special teams, special players. Like, you gotta have that energy. I'm Gen Z, it's okay for me to say that. But yeah. Elias Lindholm, a bounce goes the Canucks' way. He kind of wraps it around and the puck goes under Skinner. Joshua, after the goal, pushes McDavid out of the way. That was a little funny, but other than that, yeah, Elias Lindholm. He gets one back for the Canucks. They finally have some energy, but nothing really happens until the third period. So let's talk about the best period of hockey for Canucks fans and the worst period of hockey for Oilers fans. Is my condolences. That was something. Well, first of all, Nikita Zadorov is, like, attacking Leon Draisaitl. He sees that he's injured and he just goes right for blood, like a shark. I've heard. I don't know. I'm not a marine biologist. Look it up. But, yeah, so they both get coincidentals. Pettersson had a good defensive play. While he may not be showing up on the score sheet in terms of goals, assists, points in general, he is doing a defense, and he is doing it good. And
I thought he had a good game tonight.
Yeah.
Like, short of showing up on the score sheet, I thought this was one of PD's best games in the postseason so far. Like, he had offensive bursts, he was creating space, he got some shots on net. Like, there's only so much he can do with the line mates he has. Like, I agree he has to be better, but also he needs better line mates. I'm sorry. That's
That
just
is
like,
true.
this needs to happen.
Because he's still with Mikheyev, I believe, right?
And Hoglander.
Yeah, Mikheyev and Hoglander.
And there were, like, at least several instances where, like, passes were not connecting with Hoglander, who's just, I think, not having a very good time.
Yeah, he was good in the regular season, but I mean, and he tried to kill some of the Nashville Predators, let's be honest here, but he did. He was going for it. But yeah, Mikheyev is snake bitten. Hoglander is 12. So I think it's time for the lotto line. Rick Tocchet probably disagrees, but
I don't understand what he has against the lotto line. I feel like everyone is asking for the lotto line. I feel like they've had a lot of difficulty generating offense in over 7 games, other than obviously in the third period tonight. And I just, like, you just got to try it at some point. Like, break this man out of his slump.
Maybe, like, Tocchet just doesn't want to associate himself with anything related to something called a lotto. So,
Whoa! That's a deep cut. That's a deep cut right there.
That was so good. They
I
did the Green Men's Evander Kane sign.
Oh yeah, that was they took it?
They took it?
Oh, I thought you said they took the sign.
No, shades of that.
Oh yeah.
If
Okay.
anyone in the chat missed it, the Green Men held up a sign tonight that said, Evander Kane, what's the parlay?
Just absolutely no chill tonight. None in sight. None in the province.
I was trying so hard to make it connect. Like it was the wheels were turning. Anyway, the wheels also turning for JT Miller, who makes it 4-3 for the Canucks. Yeah, across the ice, Besser to Miller, like an old married couple at this point. I mean, I can say that Miller called Besser his wife at one point in the season because he kept when that whole pattern of Miller kept getting Besser's goals called back. But yeah, so the crowd was so loud that no one could hear the whistle when Dylan Holloway got called for tripping on Pettersson. And I will say Pettersson is better at selling calls than Quinn Hughes. So maybe he should take some notes. I'm not saying that it wasn't a trip. Looking back on it, yes, it was a trip. At the same time, did he need to fall that hard? Probably not. But Quinn Hughes needs to stop getting up as fast because, like, as somebody who enjoys a good soccer game, he needs to watch more of them to understand how to get it. Yeah, Canucks are strong in the first half of the power play, but barely could keep it in the Oilers' zone. Edmonton still had not gotten a shot on goal in the period with 8 minutes and 33 seconds left. They ended up with 4 shots in the third period, but you can't win a game with 18 shots on net. I understand they had 4 goals on those 18 shots at the same time. Yeah. Interesting dynamic. I mean, they didn't really differ that. They did differ that much. Anyway, Nikita Zadorov, Sam's Conn Smythe winner, with 3 easily. Well, yeah, I mean, 3
Listen,
Oilers.
He scored big goals at the right time. He gets out of the penalty box and immediately body checks people. Like, what else do you want from him?
He's a different beast. I will say
This is
that.
like not the Nikita Zadorov who is in Calgary, by the way. Like, I have never seen this version of Big C before.
Maybe, I don't know, Colorado Big C, but that was a long time ago.
Even then, I think he was a lot more chaotic. I think this is the best I've ever seen him play.
Which, you know what? I mean, has he been the best defenseman for the Canucks in the playoffs?
I think he's been the most noticeable.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because I'm like, are we having
arguable?
Marketable?
It's arguable.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say marketable. I mean, like, I guess yes. I mean, he did have that line after Game 5 against Nashville. Like, I'm trying not to get fined $25K here or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, 3 Oilers are screening him, 94 miles an hour. He ties the game. 39 seconds later, I believe, Connor Garland kind of got a breakaway, and that was a time, and then the Oilers didn't answer back to the Canucks for that one, so the Canucks won 5-4 game 1 of the second round after being down at one point, 4-1 halfway through the second. So, you know what? It's not just the Leafs when this happens. It's not just the Leafs. Wasn't it last season, at the beginning of the season, the Canucks blew the 4-1 lead and Edmonton won, like, the season opener or something?
I feel like it might have been. I feel like it was.
Yeah.
But that was 84 years ago, so.
Yeah. True. No, the first full, not even full Boudreau year, just that stretch when we went 0-7. I feel like that was the era of blown leads, and the Oilers did both of them. Anyway, that's what happened in game 1 of round 2. My brain's not loading. I still can't comprehend that the Canucks actually came back and won this game.
The third period was like a totally different game.
Oh, yeah.
I watched the entire third period on my phone because I had to put Sloan to bed. It was 4-2 when I started bedtime. and I had to watch all 3 comeback and go ahead goals in complete silence because I was trying to get her to sleep. And I was like, I think maybe I now have to just watch the rest of the series on my phone in her room. Like, I don't know.
It's the superstition. After the second period, one of my buddies in the chat, in like our group chat, he was like, "Yeah, no, I gotta change my shirt and my hat. They're gonna lose," and then everyone's like crediting him with the win. I went upstairs during the second intermission, and my sister was like, "We're so cooked." She started watching Canucks hockey like a week ago, and she's like, "We're so cooked." So she turns off the TV, and she's like, "Okay, I'm going to bed." And then the Canucks came back to win it. So I'm pretty sure she's cursed, because every time the Canucks lost a game, she's been watching, and in game 6, the moment she looked away from the screen is when they scored. So,
Oh.
yeah, who knew? A 15-year-old has this effect on the Vancouver Canucks. But, I mean, same thing could be said for, like, Connor Bedard when they're, horrifically bad in 2021. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, second intermission. I had a friend who went to his bed because he was watching from not the Pacific Standard Time Zone. So he was like, "Yeah, after the second, I'm going to bed. So peace out. I'm not seeing the third." And so I'm like frantically texting him, like, "Dude, wake up! Like, it's tied. Connor Garland just scored." Yeah, it's been a time for the Canucks. It was a time for both teams. Leon Draisaitl may or may not be injured. That may affect the Oilers for the foreseeable future. The Canucks might have to go back to Casey DeSmith, but before we think about any of those situations, here's a message from Game Over Ottawa.
Game Over Ottawa is relaunching in October. So for all of your Ottawa Senators action, reaction, news, analysis, and fun, make sure that you click on the Game Over Network channel right now, open a new tab in this video, scroll past my ugly mug, and click on the Game Over Ottawa channel. Subscribe, and then hit that drop-down menu. Make sure you hit the alarm bell so that you get notified whenever we post a video or go live. Tell all your Sens fans, friends, and family to check out our awesome community, and make sure you smash the like button on this video right into oblivion.
All right, we are back. So let's talk a bit about what we can kind of foresee for what's going to be happening in the next these next few games. Who knows? It could be 3 more games. It could be 5. That would not make it a game 7. It would be 6. I passed high school math, I promise. I got a 98 in high school math. I think I should be. Okay, it was foundations in math. Don't look so impressed, but I'm a social sciences girly. There's no way I'm passing pre-cal. Anyway, so Edmonton had an extra couple days of rest going into the series, because they did defeat the LA Kings in 5 games. And the Oilers, they were a better team than the Canucks played, obviously at the beginning of the season, because that was the beginning of the season. At the same time, the Oilers have like a kind of, they have a different energy going into the playoffs. Is because they're, Avery, do you think it's because they have like a bit more of the experience in the playoffs, like they went to the Western Conference Final a few years ago, or is it just that they know how to get penalties to go their way? I don't know. Maybe they just ran a train through LA because they know how to beat them, and let's be honest, LA is not that great.
No, like when they come, like they know how to beat LA. They've shown it 3 years in a row how to crack the 1-3-1, how to get through Corpusalo, Cam Talbot, no matter whoever the Kings threw at them. But also they came in with the energy of they got a lot to prove, because we've seen this team time and time again fail to take the next step. So this is a team coming into the series that said, hey, it's time for us to finally take that step, get out of the second round, and go deep into a Western final or a Cup final. So that energy really is it's an air of we got a lot to prove to people that we can finally get it done. And granted, it's only 1 game. This can turn around. I mean, 2022, they lost the game 9-6 to the Flames in game 1 on the road in the Saddle Dome. So one game tells us nothing really overall in the series. But blowing that 4-1 lead, it's a thing that shows me and shows a lot of people that there are still things you need to clean up, even though you come into this game with an air of, we got a lot to prove. You got to prove to a lot of people that you can hang with Vancouver for a full 60 minutes. It's one thing to dispatch Vancouver in 5 games, LA in 5 games. Vancouver is a whole different story when that team isn't afraid to play your game and keep the pace high. LA didn't want to do that. Vancouver welcomes that kind of pace.
Yeah, because Vancouver can actually score goals. So I say that, and the
it's
Canucks...
still.
Sorry.
I agree. I think both of these teams are much better suited to playing each other than to playing the Preds and the Kings. It's better for everyone involved. At the end of the day, notwithstanding the win tonight, do you want to get into a run and gun contest with Connor McDavid? I don't know. I don't know. I know the Canucks can score goals, but it does make you a little nervous.
Yeah, I mean, the Canucks can score goals. I would say it's kind of funny that I'm like, yeah, the Canucks can actually score goals, but LA can't, when the Canucks were like horrifically outscored by LA in like all the games they played against each other. But yeah.
The Canucks can't seem to like, I mean, obviously they beat Nashville, but they struggle with like highly defensive teams, right? Like they struggle with 1-3-1. They struggle with whatever you want to call what Nashville was doing.
Catfish.
So.
I would say, yeah, McDavid, you don't want to get on the bad side of, the best NHL player in the world, or the best hockey player in the world. Actually, no, second best. Jaromir Jagr is still playing, so he can count. But that was a joke. Connor McDavid is the best hockey player in the world. Please do not come for me, Oilers fans. I'm slightly afraid of you now. Connor, I'm too media trained and hardened by 2014 Oilers hockey. Oh, yeah. My brain completely lost my train of thought. So, I will say, yeah, Avery, you mentioned the 9-6 game, and it did not end well for the Flames, obviously. They don't exactly have a team anymore. But I'm not wrong. Half their team left, and when I mean half their team, I mean like
they're in Utah now.
They're in Utah, yeah. They got moved, and the Coyotes stayed under the ownership of that guy and the social media influencing son. Like, this isn't Game Over Utah. This is Game Over Edmonton. So let's Vanminton. That sounds like badminton. This is not. Anyway, yeah. So the Oilers do have the energy to come back. They do have, I mean, it's a different thing than the 9-6 blowout, absolute no goalies. Yes, there were a bit more goalies moments happening in this game because, it's not 9-6. At the same time, it's a bit concerning, when, yeah, your team blows a 4-1 lead in the first game of a series, and personally, I thought that it was going to go 7 this entire time. Just want to get a kind of temperature check for what y'all are thinking after. I know it's only one game, but there's still more hockey to be played.
I said on, can't call it zone time, I guess. I said on the spaces we did the other night. Call it the zonies spaces the other night, that I thought the Canucks had a chance only because I don't have very much faith in Stuart Skinner, which I know is like Avery's guy. I just think he's looked very human this season. But obviously at the same time, the Canucks are playing their third string goaltender. Like, no offense, like no disrespect to Sheloves. I think he's been excellent. I think has the potential to be excellent. I think he's clearly an NHL goaltender, but like, he's not Thatcher Demko, and neither is Casey DeSmith, which is a tough thing to have when you're facing Connor McDavid. Like, Connor McDavid, no shots for the first time in his career tonight, but like, that's not going to happen again. Like, I think we can all be real that that's not going to happen again. So I don't know. I do think it's very funny that like there are a significant number of fans on both sides who are like, we're the actual underdog in this series. Like, I've never seen anything like it. But I'm glad they pulled this one out. I'm going to game 2, and I would have been extremely stressed out on Friday if they were down. I feel much better.
Yes, that makes sense.
I still think this is going to be a lengthy series. Anyone saying either way, Oilers in 5, Canucks in 5 is someone you should mute immediately from your life, block them, report them to the authorities because this is going to be a long series. But I think, yeah, this is going to go minimum 6. I said at the start it's going to be Edmonton 6 games, but with McDavid and Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins and co, like these guys don't have bad games 2 games in a row in the postseason. It doesn't happen. The big thing is really defensively tightening things up because this was not a good night. Outside of Cody Cece's goal, this wasn't a great night defensively for the pairing of Nurse and Cece. That's got to be improved by game 2. And again, Stuart Skinner, someone who, again, I sing his praise from the rooftops a lot, but this was not Stuart's best game in net for Edmonton. The good thing is that he finds a way all the time to bounce back. He always found a way to rebound. You really see them having a back-to-back poor game. So it's going to be needed to get a split in Vancouver because the last thing you can do, you do not want to go back home to Edmonton down 0-2.
Yeah, I have a feeling they won't go back to Edmonton down 0-2. That's just a gut feeling on having no faith on the Canucks. But personally, I said 7. Yeah, I was saying before the series even started, like once the Canucks had gotten through Nashville, I was saying the Oilers are massive on the offensive side of things. Defensively, they have glaring issues. Like you said, it was not a good game for the CC Nurse pairing. Personally, I feel like that's every single Oilers game I've watched in the last year or so. So, like, no offense, obviously, to those players, but at the same time, just why it's just the question to most of the things they do. At the same time, I mean, we have Tyler Myers, I can't complain. We have Philip Hronek, I can't complain. Ian Cole, I can't complain. But when it comes to the goaltending situation, Stuart Skinner is their starter. Artur Shilovs is the Canucks' third stringer. They Shilovs, I think personally the only goal. I mean, I'm not one to blame the goalies, so maybe I'm taking this a little bit too far. But I think the only goal that he let in that was a little bit yikes was the 4th Edmonton goal. But that could just be me blaming Ian Cole for everything under the sun right now. Stuart Skinner, yeah, he did heat up, if I'm not wrong, at near the end of the regular season, but and yeah, when it comes to this game in particular, he was very good at the beginning, and I was like, okay, so this is the new Stuart Skinner. This is the Stuart Skinner we're gonna get for the series, and then it just kind of petered out near the end. So I'm not entirely sure where his mojo essentially went. Not if it was stolen or anything, but yeah, something happened there where it definitely flipped a switch for Skinner. And yeah, and it's not like they have like the same kind of, I mean, yeah. I mean, I would say it's not like they have the same kind of like backup, but I'm like, we're playing our third stringer, so I feel like that's like not territory. That's throwing stones from glass houses. Like you don't touch that. But when it comes to the Canucks goaltending situation, allegedly Thatcher Demko can be back for game 5. Who knows if that changes the tide in anything? Who knows if he's back to 100%? Sam, you look like you're about to yell at me.
No, I'm not about to yell at you. I just think, I mean, hard to say after a game like tonight, but is Demko at like 70 to 80% better than Shilovs or DeSmith at 100%? I don't know.
True. I mean,
I feel like unless both Shelovs and DeSmith shit the bed in the next few games, it's not really something you need to risk unless he's actually like ready to be back.
Yeah. Yeah, don't rush him back. I mean, to be fair, I didn't see this anywhere like a reputable site. I saw this on a Surrey meme page, so like
In my dream world, they go to 7, the Canucks somehow win, and then you probably need him back for Dallas, Colorado.
yeah, that's the thing is like if somebody tweets Demko's done for the entire playoffs, like it's over for the Canucks. They should just let every
I
single
mean, like, did you see what the Avs did to Connor Hellebuck? It's not good.
that one tweet that was just like, oh yeah, these are the same amount of goals that Connor Hellebuck let in throughout every playoff game. I was just like, okay, well here's the amount of goals that Thatcher Demko's let in during the playoff games. Obvious Vezina winner, come on guys, he let in 0 from game 2 to 6. So anyway, Demko's only coming in a season-saving game. Thank you, Lachlan. Yeah, that's
Yeah, sounds right.
I could see that. Like if it's game 6, Oilers are up 3-2. Yeah, I mean, Demko is going to need Jesus to heal him if he's going to return. Okay. Hopefully it's not that bad. I mean, I think he's still alive, so that should be good. I didn't read that much of the Bible. I don't know what I'm saying, but when it comes I think he's real hurt. I mean, at the same time, be playing through injuries in the playoffs as a skater versus playing through injuries in the playoffs for a goalie is a very different beast. I've personally never played professional hockey because
You haven't?
No, are you surprised? Would you
Shocked.
Do you want to see my prescription? No. Not allowed to. But anyway, I feel like it's a bit different. Like I'm not trying to glorify players playing through injuries, but the whole Bergeron played through like a punctured lung thing versus like when you're a skater, I feel like it's easier to move through that. But since goaltending uses so much of your body, I feel like it's not as simple to kind of just ignore something. And also you're on the ice. They're on the ice the entire game. Like skaters get breaks. Goalies don't exactly. So I don't know. It's interesting. Hellebuck may be a Vezina caliber. I can read Vezina caliber goalie in regular season play, but come playoff time, sure hasn't been the last 2 series he's played. You never know. But yeah, Sam, I think it was you who tweeted something about along the lines of, "Can you believe either of these teams have a chance against Dallas or Colorado?"
Well, I said based on the way this game looked, whoever wins this series is not going to be able to beat Colorado or Dallas. But that was like before the third period.
Okay, fair.
Although I don't know that that really changes my assessment. I felt like, I don't know if it's just me, I felt like the pace of the game tonight was really slow, especially through the first 2 period. It did not feel like playoff hockey. It did not feel like either team had any sense of urgency or desperation. It just kind of felt like they were there. It changed a bit in the third when the Canucks came back, but even then, like compared to the pace of the Dallas Colorado game last night, except for maybe the first period because the Avs just didn't show up, it felt like 2 very different leagues of hockey.
Yeah. It'll be a very
And like frankly, very different from New York, Carolina.
Yes.
Like both the games last night had a level of urgency and like intensity that I just didn't see from either of these teams tonight.
Yeah, I feel like there's a bit more push from like those other teams because like the Canes, they're trying to prove themselves. The Rangers, they're trying to, I guess, prove themselves. I mean, they won the President's Trophy, so like you have, but the Canes have are trying to get like a sliver of any success. Like, you know, Rod Brindamore, he wants that cup with the team that he won with as a player. Like, there's all these storylines. With Edmonton, like, it's always been, this is our year for the playoffs, and then they're out in round two, this is the year for the playoffs, swept in by Colorado in the Western Conference Final. Like, it's, and they do have, you know, that window of McDavid, Draisaitl. They don't know how long that's going to last. So there's that kind of sense of urgency. I feel like it may have petered out the third period a bit. With the Canucks, I think they're just surprised they got here, so they don't know what to do. Like, they didn't know. Like, there's this one TikTok audio that's like, in my defense, I wasn't supposed to be around this long. I feel like that's the Vancouver Canucks right now, in this situation. Because who saw them winning the Pacific Division? Who saw them? I mean, a lot of people saw them beating Nashville, but if you told somebody a year ago that they beat Nashville in 6 games with in a 1-0 game with Tyler Myers having the biggest block of the season, I think somebody would have just, their head would have exploded. So the Canucks are very shocked that they are here at this point, to say the least. Yeah, before we get into like taking a bit more questions and stuff, we have one message from Game Over Calgary. That's what's the one.
Game Over Calgary is relaunching in October. For all your Game Over Calgary content, make sure you subscribe to our Calgary-specific YouTube channel. Open the Game Over Network YouTube page in a new tab from this video, scroll past Andrew talking, and click on the Game Over Calgary channel in our featured channel section. Click subscribe and make sure you hit the drop-down menu to get notified when we post videos or go live. Tell all your Flames fan friends and family to check it out and join our awesome community. And make sure you smash the like button on this video right into oblivion.
All right. And having their third goalie in net, just to add to that. Yeah, imagine telling a Canucks fan, or any fan really, that the Vancouver Canucks would be beating the Edmonton Oilers in the second round of the playoffs 5-4 after a 4-1 lead was blown by Edmonton with their third string goaltender who is playing in Abbotsford right now. Like, when it comes to shock, I think that there's a level of shock. Some people acting like the Canucks have been playing top hockey for 7 months. Well, to be fair, there was no top hockey for, I'm bad at math, 36 months before then, so, like, yeah, when it comes to this series after that, they have to beat Dallas or the Avs. Avalanche obviously won the game in overtime last night. That happened last night. It feels like last year. Brain's obviously not working. Kind of talked about it already, but Avry, I have a question.
Yes, Kaja.
Do you think that the Oilers could beat the Avalanche or Stars if they played, not if they played anywhere, if they played 50% better than they did tonight?
50% better, yes. I do think they can. Again, because in the postseason, stopping Hyman and McDavid, and we know Draisaitl is a little banged up now, but if he can shake that off, Edmonton can play a cleaner game against either Edmonton, against Colorado or Dallas, they have a chance if they do improve things and clean things up. If they show what they showed in game 1 against a Dallas or a Colorado, that series is over in 2. If they step up, if they step things up, then yes. Because Connor McDavid is the kind of player who can score 0 goals, but somehow still have 41 assists and win you a series.
Yeah. It'll be a time for whatever team moves on, because Dallas and Colorado, I was gonna make the reference earlier, but I completely forgot. The Francesco Aquilini tweet, wow, so tight, almost like a playoff game. That bodes for, like, I don't want to say every other second round series right now because Boston and Florida is happening. So So that whole situation over there, absolute bonkers. I mean, like, David Pastrnak and Matthew Tkachuk fought, and then I had to pretend to be normal and go into watching the Canucks play the Oilers in round 2. Like that. Anyway, all so tight, almost like a playoff game. That's when I worry about the Canucks' ability to play a playoff game, because yes, you can have these high-flying offensive adventures against the Oilers, but if you try that against Colorado, it's not going to work. You try that against Dallas, it's not going to work. I mean, they shut out Dallas in November, but that was November. That was when they still had Andrei Kuzmenko. That was before they had Nikita Zadorov, I believe, too. So that was how long ago it was. They're Conn Smythe winning defenseman, by the way, according to Sam. Anyway, I think if the Canucks would win, it would have to be Shilovs anyway. But that's just because I am a goalie person. But sorry, there was a comment. Connor in the chat, Avry, you should also be worried about something. Any team Corey Perry has been traded to the last number of seasons loses in the playoffs or doesn't win the cup.
The order has been reset. They've reset the aura of the Corey Perry thing. Because remember, actually, you wouldn't remember, but they've reset things from when Perry was supposed to be an Oiler 20 years ago in the trade for Mike Comrie. So that is now been reset, and they're going to win with him.
I was alive 20 years ago. Kind of.
Kind of.
Was I conscious? Maybe. Would it... Yeah, I mean, I think it's more of the reference of the last... Because he lost in the cup final with Dallas.
Mm-hmm. He
lost in the cup final with Montreal. Lost in the cup final with Tampa. And he was with Tampa Bay again last year, right? Or am I don't know. I just know that he was on Chicago. Maybe it got reset when, he got bought out by Chicago. So then, instead of... He didn't get traded, he signed with them.
Mm-hmm.
But he technically did sign with the other two teams. I don't know. I'd still be worried because he was one of the players screening Skinner on the Zadorov goal. So, yeah. That was a time.
Yeah, that screen. Yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough to make a save when you got at least 14 players standing in front of you and a fan and Zach and Dennis in front of you. It's really tough to make a save.
It's tough to make a save. I thought when you said like 14 teammates, players, when you said that, I thought you were gonna say like 14 feet because of how tall Desharnais is. But the puck went through his legs, so it's fine. He's tall. I mean, Tyler Myers, Nikita Zadorov, but tall. Brain not working. Anyway, send your questions in the chat right now about the Canucks Oilers round 2, game 1. I will just also have to say that JT Miller is worth his contract, and I have never said a negative thing about him ever in my entire life. Like, ever. You don't need to look back at Game Over from last year. Don't need to think about it at all. JT Miller...
I said in the first round that I would take back 85% of the things I've said about JT Miller, but I'm standing by the other 15%. You just have to figure out which 15%.
I have a clear idea of a 15% for me, but I'm like, yeah, no, that is, yeah, or Tyler Myers too. Every mean thing I've ever said about Tyler Myers, completely out the window. Like, that man has sacrificed everything for this team. Everything. And JT Miller, after Game 6, had the most romantic quote I think I've ever heard in hockey ever. Like, it was... I've read a lot of romance books because I find it really interesting just to see what, like, people who feel that attraction think about. Asexual joke. Let's go. Anyway, I need to find what he said, but it was something like, why would I want to leave? Oh yeah. JT Miller, not any part of me ever wanted to go somewhere else. Why would I want to leave something that I've always been looking for? How can you not be romantic about this team? Like, what a quote. I mean, yeah, so JT Miller, nothing, I've never said a single bad thing about you. Tyler Myers is still one of the worst players in Canucks history. I mean, let's talk about the TikTok I saw where somebody said they missed Jake Virtanen. Like he had a career. Yeah, I saw a TikTok with
when
in the comments. This was like a couple weeks ago. And they're like, I miss Jake Virtanen. I'm like,
why?
Why? Like, off ice aside,
Yeah,
minus 30 career points percentage. He was awful.
not good.
William Nylander went 2 picks after him, and I'd have him over I'd have like literally any other player in the 2014 draft.
David Pastrnak went 14 picks after Jake Virtanen.
Oh, I didn't even
19
think
picks?
about him.
19 picks. 25.
Oh.
Like the from Jake Virtanen, bad person, bad hockey player, and Peter's Panther Stampede we learned last year. Like,
Wait?
pick a struggle.
Yeah. Never trusted Jake from Abbotsford is what I've learned in my life.
Good call. Good life lesson.
Yeah. Tyler Myers is better than Messier.
Mark Messier, the greatest captain of all time in sports, the true leader.
I wasn't even alive when he was in Vancouver.
I'm gonna like exit this chat now. You know what was super annoying about watching the Avs game last night was that it was on ESPN and I had to I was just accidentally seeing Mark Messier between periods. I'm like, I'm just trying to watch the Avs game. Like, I don't need this man on my TV.
It's a good man. A bald-headed icon.
No, that's every
buddies with Danielle Smith. Think about it.
All right.
It really was like, fuck, what's her name again?
I mean, that's
All right,
not her legal name, but so technically, you know, she's legally not supposed to be called that. Ollie Ulevi was also a Canuck. I don't think about the 2016 draft. When I try and remember Canucks draft picks, I go, yeah, Brock was 2015, Petey was 2017, Hughes was 2018. I just forget the 2016 draft happened entirely. I'd like to see some more locals on the team. Let's sign Tristan Jarry. No. We're gonna have an Ullmark Swayman level tandem. I mean, let's clarify, regular season Ullmark Swayman level tandem for the Canucks next year with Sheloves and Demko, so let's not interrupt that. Bedard, that would be interesting. Maybe the idea about Virtanen and Stetcher was down to the notion they're local boys. Okay, but here's the thing, Troy Stetcher is at least not horrible of a human being, so and he is a really cute dog. So
I need someone to explain the local boys draw to me.
yeah.
Honestly, if you're good, I really don't care where you were born. It just doesn't matter to me.
I mean, sometimes
listen, if you want to put together a team, if you're talking Paul Kariya, Scott Niedermayer, whatever, okay, make that argument. I just don't think that's what's happening here. That is not Jake Virtanen.
I mean, Tristan Jarry playing, if you want to get local boys and you have that, Tristan Jarry signs to a team in Surrey with the new 60,000 stadium that Doug McCallum put forward. I think that would be a real thing. I need to stop bringing in my municipality when this happens. I thought ESPN's coverage last night was lame. My Avs game kept disappearing because of the Rangers double OT. Right. Now I remember why I didn't watch the Avs game last night. I really thought that this game was gonna go to overtime, I'm not gonna lie. Because that was just really a trend. Uh, how do you think the Oilers would have fared in an overtime situation, Avery?
In an overtime situation, woof. We know how they do in 3-on-3 overtime, and it's been hit or miss, but in a 5-on-5 overtime, they've lost the only one they went to this year against the LA Kings in the postseason. They've lost that. So honestly, I don't know what they would have done and how they would have looked. I think they would have found a way to put out in 5-on-5 overtime, Draisaitl, McDavid, probably Hyman, and probably the pairing of Bush and Ekholm. But really, for Edmonton, it would have been in their best case scenario to try and end that as much as possible, push forward and not sit back, because we saw with this team tonight, if Edmonton sits back and doesn't put their foot on the gas pedal for a full 60 minutes, Vancouver will make you pay. And if they sat back in overtime, I think the Canucks would have made them pay if Edmonton didn't go for the win immediately if this game did get sent to overtime.
Yeah, I will say about putting all those players on the ice at the in overtime. I mean, they did have that kind of set up in the ending of the third period, and they were trying, and it was scary at some points for Canucks fans. You could sense like the anxiety in the building, but when it came to, yeah, they just couldn't get the puck in the net. Canucks were blocking shots. When the Oilers want to dominate, they can. I think they can easily manhandle the Canucks on the score sheet. It just comes down to, are they going to be able to sustain this kind of level of success? Question mark? Sam? Any last words for having faith in this team?
I already, like, obviously, if you've been watching these for a while, or if you follow me on Twitter, like, my natural state is to be a skeptic because this team has hurt me too many times. But there is something about the way they're playing and the way they're winning games that is not normal. Like, I didn't even have this feeling about a team in 2011, because in 2011 they were just good. Like, they were just good, and I thought they deserved to win. This is like a team that I'm like, you should not be this good and you should not be winning these games. And it is really hard to resist the idea of a team of destiny, which is not what I'm saying they are. But I have like the tingles. I have that thought once in a while before I like reel myself back into reality. But there is something about this. Like, there's something about the way they came back and won the game with the Besser hat trick. There's something about the way they came back tonight that simply would not have happened in other years. Like, any other year, the Oilers score in the last minute to tie the game and they win in overtime. Like, this is not something that happens to this team. This is not something that has ever happened to this team in the entire time I watch them. And I like don't know what to do with myself. So that's where I'm at. It's very confusing.
That's valid. I feel the same way. Like, I haven't gone out and gotten a car flag because I'm like, but I don't know how long this is gonna last. Like, the unfamiliar feeling of hope. Yeah, because when I was really into hockey was the years leading up to 2011, and 2011 happened, and then the entire decade after that happened. So I'm trying to tap back into that childhood joy that I felt, but it's hard sometimes. Avery, what do you hope to see from the Oily Boys? That sounds really bad. I'm so sorry.
Oily Boys have been a thing they've been called for a few years now. The Oily Boys, the Oil Man, the thing that DJ Bean calls them, the Oil Man. I know. Anything to do with oil sounds slightly double entendre somehow.
Don't Google
But
that, kids.
I think the big thing is really this team is going to have to tighten things up defensively. You know, I also would play with the idea of separating the pairing of Nurse and Cece, trying to get, because when Darnell Nurse isn't playing Cody Cece, He's a very serviceable D-man. He plays a safer game, doesn't try to do too much. So I think if I'm Chris Knobloch, I really consider separating Cody Ceci and Darnell Nurse. But in general, you gotta watch your own end far better than how you did in game one. And you've got to stay aggressive on the Vancouver Canucks team that loves to push as much as you do.
Yes. I think that if McDavid can hit another gear and, be able to produce at least some shots, I think that the Canucks are very much so in trouble. If Stuart Skinner performs like he did during the first, I guess, 2 periods, I think the Canucks are definitely in a lot of trouble. But, one last comment to end the night. Oof, yeah, your entire teenagerhood would have been filled with terrible Canucks seasons. That's why I'm on antidepressants. Alright, that ends Game Over Vancouver Edmonton Game 1 Round 2 for the Edmonton Oilers and Vancouver Canucks. Vancouver wins 5-4 in regulation. In a crazy back and forth game, there were blown leads, there were not as many penalties for the Canucks, which is a good thing. And my brain breaking approximately 10,000 times because I don't know how to function when the Canucks are successful. It doesn't happen often. Alright, everybody, I've been Kaja. I've had a wonderful time with Sam and Avry. We'll be back, Game Over Vancouver and Edmonton, for Game 2 on Friday? Friday! We'll be back for Friday. Hope to see you then. In the meantime, like, subscribe, comment down below, subscribe to all the Game Over Network channels. You can find us on our various social media platforms. But yeah, that'll be it for tonight. So thank you all for watching, and see you soon.
Game